Shalom. Shalom. All praise and honor and glory going to Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, Hashem Kakadash, the honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Salutation to all you arguments out there pushing this truth for all honesty and sincerity, and also by way of the internet. Shalom to you, very few sisters, you aquafters out there listening and learning. This your brother Nayap, and I'm back with another news update. This is for fair use, fair use, fair use. Fair use, fair use, fair use. This is for educational purposes only. Educational purposes only. Fair use, fair use, fair use.
Trump so mad at Israel, he started cursing. Watch this whole entire thing if you don't believe me.
The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on it. So I'm not happy with that. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. Now, we basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
That motherless fuck is pissed, and he might be looking to smack somebody upside their fucking head, because at the end of the day, he wants peace. He don't care what country it is. Israel, Iran, your mother's backyard, while I'm over here trying to get a tan and a hand job, it don't matter.
Do you get aroused every time a child gets shot in the face? You disgusting prick.
Home. There's an Israeli national airlift to get Israelis home from all over the world, from Greece and from Cyprus, so that they can
all Israelis need to go back to Israel. Go back to Israel.
And there aren't enough dollars at AIPAC to ever get me to side with the devil. And I truly do believe that what we are watching right now is the synagogue of Satan, led by Bibi Netanyahu, which is attempting to use Judaism and pretending that they are being attacked because they're Jewish and not because they are executing something horrific in Israel right now, in Gaza in particular. And with Ted Cruz, and he says, why should we follow Israel? And he says, well, the Bible says that with Ted Cruz, and he says, why should we follow Israel? And he says, well, the Bible says that if I, bless Israel, then I will be blessed. That is what Ted Cruz says to Tucker Carlson about why we should be following them into this war. And Tucker Carlson, who's a Christian, pushes back on that. He's like, well, let's get into the theology of this. You think that you are going to be blessed, and I'm filling in the blanks here, but essentially what Ted Cruz is offering is that you will be blessed if you allow this nation, which was created in 1948, that Genesis is referring to, this modern nation of Israel, right, to bomb, starve, kill, take land whenever they want, blackmail our politicians, Jeffrey Epstein, a lot of questions about who shot JFK and why we couldn't get those files. You're going to be blessed if you keep supporting.
没信号，都没信号，我们这没有信号。你命大啊，兄弟啊，这个危险啊，只能要等消防来了。没信號都沒信號啊！啊，唔係有報告，唔得。那有個小車，那邊有兩個小車啊！不要往這邊走了，往那邊走，這邊就直接開了，快點！
What It's going to bring you some news from Qatar now, where there have been sounds of loud explosions heard over Doha shortly after Qatar temporarily closed its airspace. Iran has fired missiles towards the US base in Qatar, following Tehran's threat to retaliate against the US's strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. Iranian media says the retaliation against the United States base at Al Udeid and in Qatar and American bases in Iraq has begun.
אתה מכוון, אחי מכוון. זה בושה שאתה יושב בכנסת ישראל. מכוון בטרוריסט קורא ליו"ר הוועדה. אפילו אתה קורא ככה ליו"ר הוועדה בחוץ בעירה ירוק. لحظة دخول مقر السفر. ما خلوش فيهم يخشوا. لحظة دخول شباب منطقة مسلم مقر السفر جاري التحميل بعون الله. مقر السفر بعون الله جاري التحميل من منطقة شباب مسلم. الله يبارك بدون رماية. هابطوا في مناوشات. مناوشات ربي ينصرنا ويسلم. لحظة دخول مقر السفر.
An early U.S. intelligence assessment suggests those 30,000-pound bunker-busting bombs did not destroy Iran's nuclear sites and only set back Iran's nuclear capabilities by mere months. This is at odds with Donald Trump's claim that the U.S. military strikes obliterated Iran's nuclear facilities.
I think it's been completely demolished. That place is under rock. That place is demolished. The B-2 pilots did their job. They did it better than anybody could even imagine.
The White House pushed back at the leaked battle assessment. Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt called it flat out wrong. The report was classified top secret and was leaked, she said, by a low-level loser trying to demean President Trump. An early U.S.
2 seconds, y'all.
So the Department of Women's Rights. On July 1st, Marco Rubio plans on dissolving the Department of Women's Rights, Public Diplomacy, and Humanitarian Aid. That's right. You probably didn't know. I didn't know. Did you guys know there was a Department of Women's Rights? This is a leaked document from Marco Rubio declaring that he's going to fire 3,400 people from the Department of Women's Rights, Public Diplomacy, and Humanitarian Aid. There will no longer be a department that just specializes in women's rights. And while we're all having fun listening to Musk and Trump screw around, nobody has even talked about this. This actually happened yesterday. So just thought I'd let you.
He just killed that boy.
From Sky News.
Sky News.
The NATO chief, who is your friend, he called you daddy earlier. Do you regard your NATO allies as kind of children?
No, he likes me.
Yes! Somebody give this woman a raise.
Back and I'll hit him hard, okay?
Oh!
He did it very affectionately. Daddy, you're my daddy.
Oh.
Do you regard your NATO allies as kind of like children, and they're obviously listening to you and
no.
spending more? And
This lady from Sky News needs a raise.
But do you hope that actually they're going to be able to
Mark Rubio is dying.
defend Europe on their own without?
I think they need help a little bit at the beginning, and I think they'll be able to. And I think they're going to remember this day. And this is a big day for them.
Daddy's a state of mind.
50 law enforcement officers, prosecutors, victim advocates, social workers, and others from across North America are in Tulsa this week for a human trafficking conference.
The conference was started 7 years ago to bring all the tools and resources together to fight human trafficking. News on 6's Reagan Ledbetter explains.
It's in Tulsa 7 years ago to make people aware of the problem happening right here in Oklahoma.
Human trafficking for law enforcement for a long time, we have looked at it as we have looked at everything else. We just have to go in and arrest people. And for a long time, that has meant looking at the victims of human trafficking as prostitutes.
Metcalf says human trafficking is not what you see in the movies, and oftentimes it's hard to see. He says most human trafficking victims are trafficked by their own family members for drugs or money.
When you start looking at small town Oklahoma, that creates this shockwave, this awareness of these are people I see every day. These are people I sit in the church pew with every Sunday. These are people I work with.
Joseph Scaramucci works with Skull Games to train law enforcement across the country how to catch traffickers and people buying sex. Scaramucci recently did operations in Coweta and Tahlequah, where law enforcement arrested a local pastor, a former police officer, and a federal agent.
The goal of all of it is really to make trafficking hostile for traffickers and buyers, in any jurisdiction, right? So if you start targeting Tahlequah as an example, and you make it to where people have to think twice about conducting business there.
Metcalf says he plans to hold this conference again next year to continue giving communities the tools and resources they need to fight human trafficking. In Catoosa, Reagan Ledbetter, Oklahoma's Own, News on 6.
50 law enforcement officers, prosecutors, victim advocates, social workers, and others from across North America are in Tulsa this week for a human trafficking conference.
The conference was started 7 years ago to bring all the tools and resources together to fight human trafficking. News on 6's Reagan Ledbetter explains.
It's in Tulsa 7 years ago to make people aware of the problem happening right here in Oklahoma.
Human trafficking for law enforcement for a long time, we have looked at it as we have looked at everything else. We just have to go in and arrest people. And for a long
tell us a little bit about the study that just came out of Sweden that is just so alarming.
The news is buzzing out of Lund University, Malmö, Sweden. Marcus Alden is the first author. The first demonstration in a human hepatic or liver cell line that the Pfizer vaccine, in fact, reverse transcribes and installs DNA into the human genome.
Wow. And so, in simple terms, what does that mean, Dr. Bartlett?
Thank you for making it simple. So, basically, there's an enzyme that can take that messenger RNA vaccine information and put it into the DNA of the person, into their DNA. And we were told that could not happen. So this is in a lab, but it's showing that you remember the vaccine is messenger RNA.
Yeah.
And we were told that that messenger RNA could not go into your DNA, but this is showing that in a lab it can.
And so what happens when it does, Dr. Cole?
Well, can I answer slightly different than your question?
Yeah.
So one of the fun things about the last couple of years being a doctor and lawyer is this is a very interesting opportunity, and I think we're going to be bringing another lawsuit because there's actually federal law that you cannot discriminate against people for genetic discriminations. I forgot the acronym. I think it's GINA, G-I-N-A. GINA, right? So this now opens the door to saying that if you're not allowing somebody in who chose not to get the shot, that you're actually engaging in genetic discrimination. So I think this Sweden study, I think, opens the door to a new type of lawsuit.
If you're pregnant and you have this done, can that then affect your baby?
Yes, this is the alarming finding. The CDC says on its website very explicitly, this will not change your DNA. The paper that came out of Sweden, now there'll be many more to confirm it, and the steps are to confirm it, to confirm that the entire code is installed, and then to actually confirm that it's expressed, meaning that the spike protein now is continuously expressed from human cells. But because the lipid nanoparticles are taken up everywhere, that means somatic cells in your organs, but also your gametocytes, actually the cells that actually are the sperm and the egg. If they are carrying it, that indeed means that, in fact, it can be passed to the daughter cells. And
so that could be open up for birth defects and all.
One final way that's new and is promising is called the RNA vaccine. With RNA and DNA, instead of putting that shape in, you put instructions in the code to make that shape.
So according to Bill Gates, the COVID vaccines indeed changed the human DNA.
It's also developing right now. Florida Surgeon General says for us to stop getting the COVID vaccine.
Fox 35's Hannah McKenzie is joining us live in the Alert Center tonight. So, Hannah, he says what's in the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines is a problem.
Yeah, Luann, Florida Surgeon General Dr. Latipo says he has safety concerns pertaining to the discovery of billions of DNA fragments found per dose in the Pfizer and Moderna COVID vaccines. And he says those concerns have not been addressed by the FDA or the CDC. Dr. Latipo says if the risks of DNA integration with COVID vaccines cannot be addressed, then the vaccines aren't appropriate for use in humans. He says he sent letters to the heads of the FDA and the CDC specifically questioning how this would impact humans in three main areas: healthy human genes being transformed into cancerous cells, chromosomal instability, and how the integration could affect unintended parts of the body, such as the heart, brain, lungs, even the injection site itself.
Code, it's a double helix that occurs, and there are these sulfur bridges in the midst of every single atom.
to get its first votes as soon as later this week, possibly Thursday or even Friday. Again, this contentious situation seemingly starting to.
So obviously for this construction site, a major problem. But that's not the only thing we're dealing with here that would be able to contain that they had to shut numerous roadways down here. That's the Major Deegan Expressway, and there is no traffic on either side of the Major Deegan. They shut down the Deegan from basically the Westchester County line down to West 230th Street. All that traffic at bumper to bumper standstill. This goes south of 95, south of Yankee Stadium. So that is going to be a major issue for people as we get closer to the evening commute.
The different leaders that are here in the region here. This is the big focus that is happening on the ground in the Middle East right now. Normalization. That is what the Israelis are looking for, and you see all the leaders around the region there. Saudi Arabia, Lebanon, Syria. That's the dream that people have here. That's the vision that the president has talked about, and you can see very clearly certain groups here on the ground in Israel hoping that the president will make this a priority in the Middle East here. Marnie?